Hi, I'm Steve Gobert, Global Sales Enablement Lead for GE Healthcare Digital. Thank you for joining this session at the Sales Enablement Festival. Before I get started with the content and some tips to help you with your sales enablement journey, just wanted to give you a little bit of background on why I have a lot of great information to share. So I like to tell my career journey in three phases. First, I majored in finance, worked for an insurance company, and I worked to make money. In phase two, I really honed in on trying to be successful, and I had the opportunity to work with Kraft Foods, learn instructional design, and then eventually get into sales training at Walgreens for their B2B workforce. In phase three, the phase that I'm in today, I'm doing exactly what I enjoy, which is sales enablement. So when I got the opportunity to help support the digital arm of GE Healthcare, this role is exactly where I wanted to be. And I'm going to share a lot of great tips and advice that I learned in my journey in this session. So let's begin. So the title of this course is Making Learning Bite-Sized and Deployable for Sales. I've written out 4 objectives that'll get us to that point. So what I'm going to do is define considerations when onboarding versus developing sales professionals. So we'll look at ongoing training versus onboarding. Then I'm going to describe to you how to make learning manageable and modular. So again, we want to break it down and make it bite-sized. Then I'll demonstrate how to deploy sales training globally and what to consider to make training more palatable for everyone. And then lastly, I'll describe strategies to assess and reinforce sales training. So let's dive right in. So onboarding versus ongoing development, what's in it for me? I've written out some tips for onboarding and ongoing development here, and really quickly, in regard to onboarding, you really need to set expectations up front and develop a 60-day roadmap. Now, this can be variable, it could be 30 days or 90 days, but there needs to be a clear agenda. And then you're going to have to end with some type of assessment or certification program. So if you're just starting out, develop some type of simple assessment that your new salespeople can go through so you can check to make sure that they understand the items that they learned in the onboarding program. And then it also helps you track who's gone through it, and you can show HR who has completed it and who has not. Now, as you get more sophisticated, definitely develop a certification program. This can encompass doing role play scenarios where they talk back exactly what they're supposed to learn. You can record those, show them to sales leadership, have some kind of criteria, and then, like I say, if you have a learning management system, you can put that into a certification program. Now, I know we're in the middle of a pandemic, and it's really not possible to do week-long meetings, but even if we weren't, I would not suggest having your people sit in chairs for 8 hours a day for 5 days a week. Nobody likes that, and nobody can learn as much as you expect them to learn in a short period of time. So my advice is to break it out week by week. Set the expectation that they learn for a couple hours or 4 hours or wherever it is, go out and meet some people, and then practice scenarios. I gave you a couple tips, what to avoid. So death by webinar, please avoid that. Now, in regard to ongoing development, a sales professional really should have the expectation that they're always going to be learning. As an adult, we have certain preferences of the way we want to learn, so I would Google adult learning theories and kind of incorporate that into your ongoing development. And then as far as tips, as far as your program is concerned, definitely partner with marketing and sales leadership to have a strategy. Set expectations with sales leadership that there is going to be a regular training opportunity. Maybe that's once a month, maybe that's quarterly, but you want to flex that muscle at a regular interval so people are really engaged and on top of what's new. And then lastly, make training accessible. Coming out of training, the learner will only retain it if they keep it in their mind and utilize it. And if they can't utilize it, then you have to have ways to reinforce that by making training repeatable and accessible. So look at a sales enablement platform or a website or whatever it is, a mobile app that gives your learners, your sales professionals, quick tips in just-in-time fashion. I also included here to incorporate feedback and social component. You want to reward people for giving you best practices from the field because people love to learn from their peers. So there's no better or more authentic way to have good examples than to extract that from field sales professionals. And one way to get that is to reward them for doing that. Now, a couple things to avoid. Don't pile on too much training in any particular time. Like I said, you can only learn so much. And if you space it out and make it more regular, then we know what to expect. And then I put death by webinar. Please, avoid the webinars that go over an hour. For a lot of different reasons, nobody wants to sit in a webinar for more than 60 minutes. So with that, let's go on to the next topic. Breaking down learning into manageable pieces. This is where my instructional design background really is going to come out. In my experience, it is best to break content into modules that you can shift around and apply or not apply for your audience. Why this is effective for a sales audience is that we're always in constant change. And furthermore, as I talk about the global piece of it, there are some pieces of your content in your learning program that may not be applicable to the whole globe or the region that you're going to try to reach. So I put some tips in here. One of the main things that I find missing in sales training is we are not writing out learning objectives, or we're not beginning with the end in mind, and we're not focused on the outcome. If you develop training and you cannot clearly define what a learner is going to get out of that training, then maybe you shouldn't proceed forward with the training, and you should make it a communication. Now, I suggest that you Google Bloom's taxonomy verbs. This will give you a list of verbs to write your learning objectives and break them down into pieces. Now, you see an example that I just recently put together for a learning program at GE Healthcare Digital, and it starts with a verb: define, describe, recognize, demonstrate, relate. Those are real learning objectives. So consider taking the time to at least write that up front. It'll help you break your content into manageable pieces, and then it will also help your audience and those that have to approve the training understand whether or not this training is applicable. So I give you some tips here on this slide. The last piece here in regard to breaking down learning into modules is tell a story. Now, I told you my career story in 3 phases. In regard to learning, you should start the beginning as a simple definitional or terminology type of module where you're laying down the foundation of exactly what it is that you need to understand before you can get more sophisticated. In the middle, you want to tell a situation or show a solution or have an example of where your learning content is applicable in the field. And then you want to end with outcomes and then any updates on if it's a product or a market type of theory in that piece. So consider telling a story and your learners will be more engaged. Let's talk about the next topic. Deploying sales training globally. The first 2 sections of this video have really prepared you for this section, and it's all about having perspective. Now, if you don't deploy training outside of the United States or outside of the country that you're in, you still may get something out of this. So every region has different laws, different ways of understanding content. There's different cultures, what have you. When you create your content in modules and make it such that it's simple to break apart, then you can take your training and make it tailored for the region that you're going to deploy in. So another tip that I have for you is nowadays there are really easy ways to get transcripts from video. So if you have a subject matter expert record a video, you can take that video, pop it into a certain software. It could even be YouTube. I know YouTube does this. It will pull out the transcripts of the spoken word. Now you can take that transcript and give it to your regional partner, and if they want to translate it into a different language, then it makes it easy for them to do that. So keep that in mind. The other thing is really having a strong regional partner so that you can effectively communicate the learning objectives, the point of the program, and how to deliver it. Because I'm sure I know I don't do this. I can't deliver the training all throughout the world. I rely on my regional partners to deliver the training. I really administer it and help develop it. And then communicate, remind, and reward. I love that. You know, with salespeople, they say you got to tell them 7 times before it'll sink in. And with your regional partners, if you're in a global role, you have to do the same thing. You have to regularly check in with your partners. You got to communicate before, during, and after training sessions so that they know exactly what to drive when you're trying to deploy a program. And then, you know, I'm fortunate. I do have the access to a nimble LMS system. And what do I mean by that? The LMS that we're using is mobile friendly, and what I've discovered outside of the US, there are many more countries using mobile devices than we are. So if you can take content, develop it in such a way that it's mobile friendly, you know, I know a lot of my regional global partners appreciate being able to view content and deploy it on a mobile device. So, and then, you know, again, track and record your completions. Again, it's something that at the end of the day, you know, certain regions have different audit requirements, and certainly it's something to consider. Let's talk about the last topic. Learn, assess, retain, and repeat. I'm going to wrap up this discussion with some tips in regard to helping your salespeople retain that information and then utilize it at the right time. Now, I'm not going to go into a long discussion about assessments and the design of them. Quite simplistically, when you create an assessment, it does a couple things. One, it makes sure that your learners are engaged. And 2, it measures that they have understood the content. Now, when you're writing assessment questions, make sure that it is reinforcing the main points that you're driving in your learning. Don't create trick questions or questions that have no relevancy to what you're trying to drive through with the learning program, but plan to use it for webinars, in-class training, and in your e-learning programs. Communicate. Come up with a communication plan for all your trainings. I definitely, even if there isn't a training session going on or anything going on, I still have a communication to help people understand what resources are available to them so that they can find the content that they're looking for. Now, I'm going to wrap up with the most important point here. Because you are modularizing your content, you're breaking it down into chunks, it should be easier for you to take the main points and the main references and pull it out of your training and put it into one pagers and PDFs and quick videos so that your salespeople can access that content 24/7. Now, I have the ability to post content on a sales enablement platform. Again, if you're not familiar with that, Google it. It's a great way to organize just-in-time content for people to use at the right time. So if you understand a sales stage, you can give them the right information, the right talking points, and the right materials for them to use at the right stage of a sale, the customer journey, what have you, whatever terminology you use. At the end of the day, if salespeople cannot access the right information for them to use at the right time, they're going to do their own thing. And sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't, but it doesn't help your organization measure the effectiveness of your sales training program and your, not meeting the goals of your organization. So whatever you can to make your content easy to find, it's organized, and it drives home main points for salespeople to use at the right time. Mission accomplished, and that's what I would call just in time. So let's wrap up. So life is a journey. This is a picture of my daughter Zoe. She is a hard worker. She knows what she wants, and she is an inspiration to me. Hopefully, I've given you some inspiring points here in this presentation to take back to your program and develop it for your sales teams. So to wrap up, a great sales and enablement program is a journey. Develop a sales enablement charter to help people understand what you do, and they will partner with you in an effective way. Set attainable goals and knock them out one by one. I've been in my role for 2 years, and everything was needed yesterday, but I focused on knocking things out one by one. Write out strong learning objectives. Google Bloom's taxonomy verbs and incorporate them into your objectives. And then make your learning modules short and modularized so that you can use them or not use them for the audience that you're training. Incorporate good learning, adult learning theory into your learning design. So some of us like to learn visually, some of us just like to read text, some of us like to touch and do. So consider that for your audience. And then make sales training easy to access and repeatable. So this is what I was talking about, just in time, so that your salespeople have the right information at the right time for the right audience. And then celebrate training contributions and feedback from the field. People like to learn from their peers. I would like to thank the Sales Enablement Collective for giving me this opportunity to talk to you. And if you want to connect with me, go ahead and click the link to LinkedIn. And I enjoy hearing from you. Have a great day. Hopefully enjoyed that. Not sure if I'm on or not. So, Trevor, I'm reading your question here. What time volume do you ask of salespersons per month on education? So we try to limit sales training opportunities to one per month. So, what we don't want to do is take too much of their time out of the field. And then secondly, have them focus on, more than one, main objective in a month. So, that's not always possible. But, sometimes there's opportunities where, we have to, or situations where we have to do it more than once in a month. Optimally, the way we're structured in a quarterly fashion is that we'll do 2 main training topics in the first 2 months of the quarter, and then the third month in a quarter will focus on driving, closing opportunities, or focus on communications. Let me see here. Trying to go through some of the other questions that may have come up. So, as far as my role, what I try to do is be a good teacher for our subject matter experts to create great training. I'm in the digital arm of GE Healthcare, so we sell software that's very technical, and it confuses a lot of people, to be honest with you. And furthermore, we have frontline salespeople that are just starting the conversation that don't necessarily need all the details. So, really my role is to try to keep things simple. And again, when you write out learning objectives and try to focus on what is the outcome of a particular training session, it helps the subject matter expert think in that mindset of the audience. And then, the real technical pieces, again, that's probably reserved for the people that are implementing the solution. So a lot of our sales conversations happen in the C-suite level, and they're only, focused on outcomes and the financial aspects of your solution. They don't need to know it has all these different features and what have you. So again, when you write out, what is the purpose of a training session and an outcome, and have the objectives front and center, it's easier to see, well, is this applicable for my audience, and will it have an impact on what they're doing? Now, one thing I didn't really cover too completely here in this training, I didn't have the time to, is that it's taken me at least 18 months to implement all of the different aspects that were in my sales enablement charter to, finally get to a point where I can start to measure the impact of sales enablement on the bottom line. So we can take a look at, the salespeople that have attended training, who have taken more training versus less training, who are using our client-facing assets in our sales enablement platform, which is Showpad. We get the analytics there because we made the shift to not just doing webinars, but actually assigning training through LMS like Adobe Captivate Prime. It gives us the analytics around, who's done well on the assessments, how much training have they taken, and then, the most robust piece that we have in Adobe Captivate Prime is the certification tracks. So that requires, a salesperson to upload a 2-minute video that they're talking back in elevator speech. And then we have a rubric around, well, are they hitting all the marks that we want them to hit? And then it requires somebody to grade that. So it really does take more than just me and a team to really get all the metrics and analytics we want. But we've gotten to that point. So I feel very happy and proud of our accomplishments in regard to that. Another big mantra that I have is, let's stop doing one and done training. So we'd have really cool, great, in-depth training that was an hour long or 90 minutes long in a webinar. We would record it, throw it up on the network somewhere, and then hope someday somebody looks at it. Well, nobody does that. So I understand our real technical people, the people that are implementing software and ensuring customer success need that technical information. But for sales, we need to have like 4 to 5, 6-minute videos that really hit upon what it is that we're trying to say and give them really strong direction. So I think somebody mentioned Brainshark. Yeah, I love Brainshark. It's a great authoring tool as well as a sales enablement or sales training platform. I know Showpad has a very robust training module within their solution so that you can make training available in the moment when somebody's considering engaging a client at a certain stage of a sale. So in a perfect world, you would have your CRM, your sales training, and your sales marketing or enablement materials all in one place at the salesperson's fingertips. They don't really have to think, what they should use. They should just execute and use their personality skills to deliver a great sales message. Let's see here. Let me scroll down here. Matt Cohen. How do you balance quantity versus depth? And I always found I sacrifice details. Yep. Okay. So yeah, true, Matt. You do sacrifice some details when you go to this bite-sized model. So you should have the mindset, there's always more information. So I always conclude if there is more information, more technical details at the end of presentations to, like for instance, we'll put internal prep materials in ShowPad, and we'll conclude a short bite-sized video by saying, for more detail, go to here in ShowPad, or go to this subject matter expert in this situation. So you don't want to leave people hanging. You want to give them more information if possible. I want to answer a couple more questions. So in regard to gamification, I know this came up a couple times. It's not what you may think. It's not real sexy. It's not real like you're going through a virtual reality type of game. What we do is we give points to people when they complete training quickly, and then the quantity of training that they have completed, and then their accuracy and assessments. So they get points for all those different 3 areas, and then we track the points leaders. And then I use a rewards platform to give them points so that they can turn it in for great prizes and things of that nature. So it's really helped with the visibility of our training, and now people are actually reading our emails, so that's great. So in regard to deepening the purpose and values, in regard to sales training, again, we're inundated with so many webinars and so many messages, and this is the latest and greatest. As you may know, you have to repeat things to salespeople more than one time. So you have to have a communication strategy. So you have the training, you have the webinar, you have an email, you have a newsletter. We use Yammer, and I have my own group page to reinforce, certain messages. So I plan to always communicate something at least 3 or 4 times in 3 different ways. So that's kind of the way I look at retention and what have you. So I know we're at almost at the end of the hour. Again, I think, whatever you can do to help, declutter a salesperson's objectives and their agenda is your role in sales enablement and sales training. Like I said, it took me some time, especially with a large organization. If you're with a smaller organization, I think it's great because you hopefully are communicating to the same people over and over again. But, either way, the strategy is the same, is to make things simple, easy to get to, repeatable, and then, have a clear agenda and message and know what to expect. So again, going back to as far as training opportunities, salespeople like repetition. And so again, I would plan to just, like say enough's enough in 1 month, or enough's enough in 1 week, or whatever, or we'll record it and make it available later, or things of that nature. So really enjoyed working with everyone today and meeting you all. It was great to see folks from all over the globe join this session. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn if you have any more questions, and I wish you all the best and good luck on your sales enablement journey. Thank you.